Chapter 44. Veils of Ice and Shadow. Dylan's boots crunched through the thinning fog of Shadowmere Wood, the blackened trees finally giving way to open ground as the cursed forest spat him out like a bad meal. The air lightened, losing its cloying chill, but the whispers lingered in his mind, faint echoes of doubts and failures, the wood's malice a parting gift. His starry scars itched faintly under the rune-etched leather armor, grave marrow a heavy weight at his belt, its dark blade a reminder of the zombies he'd banished, and the curse he sensed but couldn't name. Exhaustion clawed at him, his body a map of bruises and gashes, but Kaezhul's voice, a constant slithering presence in his skull, pushed him onward, north, toward the jagged foothills of the Stormspire Mountains, where Zorath's hidden castle waited. "Well done, star vessel," Kaezhul purred, his tone laced with mocking approval. "Shadowmere's curse chews on stronger men than you, yet here you stand. But your lead thins, those shadow dragons are persistent hounds, a day behind, perhaps less. Yanz leads them, a blade master with eyes like voids. They'll sniff your trail soon enough unless you learn to vanish." Dylan grunted, wiping sweat from his brow, the ground rising into rocky slopes dotted with scrub and frost-kissed boulders. The Stormspire's peaks loomed ahead, granite claws veined with glowing crystal, storm clouds boiling around their summits like a god's wrath. "Vanish! I'm no ghost. What, you got some demon trick up your sleeve?" Kaezhul's chuckle echoed, intimate and venomous. "Tricks? Merely wisdom, Dylan. To cover your tracks, think like the hunter, break the patterns they seek. Drag a branch behind you to sweep footprints but vary the pressure, make it look like wind. Cross stream sideways, not straight. Enter upstream, exit downstream, let the current erase your scent. Snap false trails, crush leaves in wrong directions, leave a bloodied rag on a thorn to draw them off. Use the wood's gifts, smear mud mixed with thorn skull dung on your boots. Beasts avoid it, and it masks your human stink. Deceive, don't just hide. A day gained is a blade, sheathed." Dylan nodded grimly, grabbing a fallen branch and dragging it sporadically, varying his steps. Deep here, shallow there, while veering into a shallow creek, wading upstream before doubling back downstream, leaving a false boot print on a rock. He smeared foul-smelling dung from a fresh pile onto his soles, gagging at the reek, but the jungle's beasts, shadow biters lurking in the mist, shied away, their yellow eyes glinting before vanishing. "This better work," he muttered, anger flaring at his reliance on the demon. "Or you're just stringing me along for Vaughn's amusement." "Amusement? Perhaps," Kaezhul admitted, his voice smooth as velvet. "But your survival serves us both. The foothills rise, Zorath's way is veiled by illusion, a weave of storm and guilt. To see through it, seek the crystal veins in the rock. They pulse with Kaelith's light. Whisper, reveal the fracture at a crossroads where paths split three ways, one ice slick, one crumbling, one shrouded in mist. The true path shimmers, narrow and treacherous, but leading to his castle's gate." The ground steepened, the air turning crisp, biting with cold as Dylan climbed into the Stormspire's foothills. Granite faces streaked with glowing crystal loomed, blizzards howling higher up, but even here, ice rimed the rocks, narrow paths hugging sheer drops where a single slip meant 1,000-foot fall. Winds whipped, carrying sleet that stung his face, the ground crumbling underfoot, loose stones skittering into abysses. Dylan's fingers numbed, gripping ledges slick with frost, his boots slipping on treacherous ice patches that hid cracks ready to give way. A storm hit without warning, thunder cracking like God's laughter, winds howling, sleet turning to hail that pelted his armor like stones. Visibility dropped to arm's length, the path vanishing in white fury, lightning illuminating jagged drops that promised death.
"Kaezhul!"
Dylan shouted over the gale, clinging to a boulder as the ground shook.
"Where now?" "Shelter!"
the demon hissed, satisfaction lacing his tone.
"To your right, a cave mouth, veiled by illusion as a sheer wall. Press through, it's real."
Dylan groped blindly, hail bruising his skin until his hand passed through what looked like solid rock, revealing a narrow cave entrance. He stumbled inside, the storm's roar muffling behind him, the cave's air stale but warm, a faint glow from bioluminescent fungi lighting its depths. He collapsed against the wall, shivering, and rummaged in his pack for the rabbit he'd snared earlier. A scrawny thing caught in a makeshift snare Kaezhul had described, its fur matted, eyes wide in death. He built a small fire with dry moss and flint, skewering the rabbit over the flames, its gamey scent filling the cave as it cooked, juices sizzling. As he ate, tearing into the tough meat, warmth spreading through his limbs, fatigue crashed over him. His scars dimmed, the day's toll, cold, wind, crumbling paths, pulling him towards sleep. "Watch my back," he muttered to Kaezhul, eyes heavy. The demon's voice faded, amused. "Always, star vessel. Rest. Tomorrow, Zorath awaits." Dylan slipped into uneasy slumber, unaware of the shadows stirring beyond the cave. Far behind, Yanz Rinzo knelt in the crimson undergrowth of the Bloodwild's edge, his piercing voids dissecting the deceptive trail like a master thief cracking a vault. The jungle's rot and metallic tang hung heavy, but Yanz's senses cut through, broken twigs that seemed wind-snapped but bent too uniformly, footprints swept unevenly, as if by a dragged branch varied to mimic nature. His 10 shadow dragons fanned out, dark leathers blending with the gloom, but frustration etched their scarred faces. "Again," one hissed, circling back to a familiar glade. "Third time, we're looping." Yanz rose smoothly, brushing mud from his gloved hand, cynicism curling his lip. The boy's trail had been clear at first, blood on leaves, boot heels angled north, but then it fractured. False paths crushed with leaves, a bloodied rag on a thorn drawing them west, boot prints entering streams sideways, exiting downstream to mask scent. Even the dung-smeared souls, a trick to ward beasts, threw off their hounds, the animals whining and shying. "Advanced?" Yanz murmured, voice smooth as polished stone. "Not the work of a lost boy, swept tracks, false leads, scent masks. He's had help or he's sharper than reports claim. Underestimate him no more. This nobody plays like a night veil ghost." His dragons nodded, eyes hardening, poison daggers glinting. Yanz signaled north, persistence his creed, but the delay gnawed. The boy gained ground, the storm spire closer. Aelther's gold demanded results, and failure was a blade at his own throat. Further back, Vea, Zariel and Leore pushed through the mist, their alliance forged in blood, but tested by the wood's whispers. Vea's limp slowed them, but Leore's cunning, spotting false trails, her violet eyes piercing the fog, kept them on Dylan's path. The delay from Yanz's confusion closing the gap. "He's ahead," Leore said, her smile faint, predatory. But not alone, shadows cling to him. The storm spire loomed, its peaks a promise of answers and storms, the web drawing tighter.